Hello, guys. Welcome to Wingers and Defenders. I'm joined, of course, by Christian and Joe. Today, we're going to be talking about Manchester City and, of course, the ruling from UEFA ruling out their ban from European competition for the next 2 seasons. There was a question whether will they be banned for 2 years, maybe a year. Will they get no time off? And it turns out UEFA has come down. They will get no ban, so they'll be free to play in Champions League, any European competitions next season. And there's a lot of reactions across the footballing world about this. So I guess we'll get to your reactions first. We'll start with Christian. What do you think about Manchester City and the ruling?
Um, I woke up this morning and saw it on my phone and shock. I think that was the first thing I expect to get from that reaction. I didn't think 2 years. I thought they would bring it down. I thought it was going to be 1 year if I had to go into this morning saying what I would have expected. It's definitely going to suck for. I think that's fighting for European football in the Premier League, especially. And I think the interesting thing you said this morning was Jake said, which was he believed that it was based off of not wanting a big club to not be in European football and probably for money purposes and all that jazz and stuff. And I think that's probably most of the reason why the appeal somehow went through and they got away with whatever they were doing for the last couple of years and stuff. But yeah, overall, I am disappointed because I feel that they should have been punished for the things they've done in the past. But unfortunately, the things went opposite to that.
Yeah, I hate it here. I hate it here. I was hoping, they'd finally be able to be punished for their poor actions, their cheating. Oh, that's not cheating, but I mean, they have all that money in there. It's just not fair.
It's cheating, kind of.
It kind of is. It's just not fair. And apparently, they got off good behavior. I don't want to go the big club route because I don't think Man City's a big club. I think they're a tin pot club who just happened to inherit a lot of money at one point and now has a lot of big players because we see their fan base is not that strong. No disrespect to City fans, true fans, but a lot of their fans aren't really that into football like that. They're kind of just like, oh, they're a good team. Let me support them. Support them like they don't have like a strong fan base, the deep one that runs deep like United or Liverpool or even Arsenal. Like those fan bases are huge. They run deep. They extend everywhere. You don't really see that with City. What enough harping on cities for being a small club. I just think UEFA is just very corrupt. I think there was money passed under the table to reduce it. I mean, we see it with FIFA. We see FIFA is very corrupt. I think it would be foolish to think that UEFA isn't corrupt.
Yeah, I was kind of just thinking to myself before, like, I'm on the outside looking in. I really can't tell, everything that City has done in the time of, when they believe the transfer, like fraudulence, whatever happened, and until today, what they've done. We can look at their transfer history, who they brought in, who City have let go, and we can kind of see this looks fishy, but we don't know everything. So one way you can look at it is UEFA made the right decision. I don't think they did. I think, City is a huge draw in European competition, one of the biggest clubs in Europe, very talented with a lot of money. They could bring a lot of, popularity to the Champions League if they're in the competition. And I think UEFA looked at it as they can lose money if City's not in it. And I think, since they have so much money, maybe they were able to cut a deal with UEFA under the table or get people to I don't know exactly how it would work, but get them to not serve any ban. And I kind of thought of what I think Joe said. They're kind of a small club that you think about it, and they've only gotten big because of their money. And it reminds me of the NBA equivalent, kind of the Golden State Warriors, how they were not a big team up until the last maybe 7 or 8 years, probably. Not really with money because the NBA has like a cap on how much money you can spend and things like that. But with Man City having almost billions of dollars to spend every year, and they don't need to, I guess, have someone check them for it. They can just bring in players, let players go, and people don't have to really question it. And now this proves that you can be a really big team if you have money. You don't need to be really super quality. You don't have to build from the ground up. All you need is money and people willing to come to your club and support you. And if you have the money, you can win. And obviously, UEFA has shown that they don't really care about the game being fair or the game being beautiful. As it said, it's about money. That's what it revolves around nowadays.
Yeah, and then another quick thing, which as a result of this morning's decision by UEFA, now Man City are willing to spend 150 million euros in the summer. And David Alaba from Bayern Munich, who can both play left back and center back, a need that Man City are in dire. They need it now. It's the reason why they probably weren't in contention of the title and possibly could lose the Champions League is because of the center back that they do not have the partner Emerick Laporte. David Alaba can finish that job, and I think if they end up getting him, that is unfortunately just down to them having so much money and this UEFA thing just not going in the clubs besides them, and who knows what happens. But also Koulibaly's linked with them, so who knows what they're going to do.
And on top of that, they own their monetary punishment as well got pushed down. They was originally 30 million pounds or 30 million euros. Now it's only 10 million. And if you think about that, not only for a club like City, but even for clubs that don't spend a lot of money, like 10 million is not a lot when you're looking at a team who's trying to spend money in the transfer market. Like, I'm trying to think who like there's some very mediocre players who cost 10 million pounds. I can only imagine like 30 million. Okay, that's actually putting a dent in your transfer market because you could that takes some money away. But only 10, like that's nothing, especially for City. So they got off with a slap on the wrist once again, and they're definitely gonna abuse it now. Like you said, they're gonna Alba. They're gonna get globally. It's just not fair. It's not fair, and they're probably gonna win the treble next year or something like that. It's just they could just stack up people, and again, it's all about money for UEFA and for the Prem too. They don't care. They just want as much money as possible, and these are gonna get shirt sales, and and just do that. It happens though. You got to live with it, I guess.
Yeah, I think the point you brought up, Joe, like 10 million pounds is not at all enough because City can just sell one player and double that profit probably. So like if they were able to sell a player, they probably could sell anyone in their first team squad for at least 20 million because he plays for Man City, and they'll get that money back and then some, double it. So I mean, yeah, City. This is just shows that UEFA isn't strict on their own enforcing their own rules on what they believe financial fair play is. I know PSG is either under investigation or it's already been done. I don't remember, but I mean at this point, PSG, who has spent a lot of money recently too, they probably won't get any if they've done anything fishy. They won't get anything placed on them either, any sanctions placed on them because UEFA isn't enforcing rules, and we can't trust them to make good decisions over money and keeping the game fair. They haven't shown it, so yeah.
Yeah, and then another thing I wanted to touch on, which was obviously Chelsea had their transfer ban, not the exact same situation, but if and I also heard that there is possibility that the Premier League now can do an investigation on Man City separate from UEFA, and that might end up going in a different direction. That could do some more damage than it was done today. I think that if a transfer ban happens to them, that could hurt, but it's not as significant as a Champions League because you're looking at all these world-class players on Manchester City's roster that are in so desperate need of playing in the Champions League every single year. If this ban had held at the way it was, you probably would have seen the likes of possibly Kevin De Bruyne and all their other loaded players up in the attack, especially that probably could have left because they need to play Champions League football at their points in the career. And if a transfer ban happens, that won't do as much damage, but certainly will have some effect on Man City going forward. But we'll see what happens with the Premier League.
Yeah, I think they have too much money to fail. They're too big to fail. Um, I know you brought up Alaba, like you said, Christian. They need to make that signing if they want to, compete with Liverpool. If they don't make that signing, they have to sign somebody because if they continue on this, like staying second to Liverpool, they're not going to be able to stay afloat for much longer because people like De Bruyne, Sterling, even Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden, possibly as a young player, guys in the midfield, they'll move on eventually. And then we'll see City go back down where they were before, not as a top club because of money, if they can't attract good players and play top level football, you know. And I think, like you said, the Premier League can look into investigating it. And honestly, that could go a different way. But I mean, they won't ban them. I mean, what will the sanctions be if they get convicted? I mean, will it be a point reduction, Will it be taking away Premier League titles from them? I mean, that would kind of be, I guess, a way of like rectify the situation, but I don't know. And I don't really trust the Premier League anyways as it is. I mean, if we're going off of how they conduct refereeing decisions and how they look at, clubs and how they, at least in game situations, like with players getting fouled, red cards, things like that, they're very iffy with decisions. And I don't know if I trust them, especially with money and the transfer market, if I trust them investigating City as one of their biggest clubs and they need City to be a top team if they want to make more money. So if the Premier League investigate it, I don't have much faith in them to really make a good decision either. Yeah, but I don't know if you guys have anything else to add about Man City or about, their players, anything else with that?
I hope they fail.
Disappointed. That's all I need to say. Just unacceptable from UEFA.
I just hope they fail. I don't like it. It's not football. If you could just buy the Moonstars team from Space Jam, it's not fair. It's not fair. Like they literally could. They're building an all-star team by themselves. It makes the game not fun when you know who's going to be winning the league every year. Like that's why no one cares about Uber Eats League One in France. No one cares about that because PSG is winning the league every year. Even Bundesliga. I mean, 8 years in a row now, Bayern's won it. I mean, people watch it for Dortmund because everyone likes their Dortmund and their youth, like we touched on last episode went out in our podcast. Other than that, that's not that big. Serie A, it's Juventus every year. I mean, other than La Liga and Premier League, which has been pretty good for having competition at the top, with Man City, we have a chance that it's not going to be like that anymore. And who wants to watch a league that's just dominated by one team?
Yeah, I honestly, it's kind of like corrupt from the top to the bottom, really. You start off at the people who conduct the signings the ownership of City, the money that they have, and they're willing to pump into the club to gain more money, more success. And then the ownership, the board, people that conduct the signings that help Pep get the players that have done fishy things in the past, fraudulent things in the past. And then, of course, Joe and his history with Pep Guardiola as a manager, having all that money, having all those weapons, and this year being, 20 points-ish off of Liverpool, the champions. They're too big to fail, but it looks like they are failing right now. And their only hope this season is a Champions League run, which I don't think will happen only because of their defense, which can be fixed next season with the money that they have. So it's just a constant cycle of we fail, we get more money, pump more into the game, ruin the league for the smaller teams that, are working hard to get better, but money always wins at the end of the day. And,
I was going to say one day this summer, we're going to do maybe a weekly football topic, and I'm unloading on Pep Guardiola. Pep Fraudiola.
Yeah, so you guys need to mark your calendars for that, because that's going to be an explosive episode, because I know Joe feels passionate about that. Christian has some feelings about that. I know I do. I'm disgusted with UEFA, but at the same time, I can't say I'm super surprised at the end of the day. But yeah, we thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. We have a lot of new videos coming out, a lot of interesting topics. Let's stay tuned. Wings and Defenders. We'll see you soon.